This is an excerpt from office hours. One of our CFE members has asked me a question about how to grow their business, and I got their permission to share this excerpt. It's an interchange between me and her, helping her to clarify the concept of what God called her to do so we can determine actually how to grow her business. All right, take a listen to this excerpt.
Get any insight from anybody? How do you grow your business? For
Fair.
me, it's to get priests for caregivers.
So tell me specifically, maybe like two sentences, like give me this. I help these people, wherever those people are, achieve this by doing that. Can you kind of say that in that statement? So I help XYZ people achieve WXYZ goals by doing S, something like that.
Oh, okay. So I help caregivers. Well, like I say, I create a space
Well, no.
where.
Keeping that format. Keeping that format. Don't
Okay.
explain
Okay.
it.
Say that again now. Sorry,
So
guys.
so I help, the name the group you help, and
I,
then tell me how you help them, and then no, excuse me, then tell me the goal that you're trying to help them reach, and then explain how you help them. So I help believers with entrepreneurial callings. That's who I help. I help them grow their faith. That's what I help them do so that they can be successful in their calling, like something
okay.
like that, right?
Okay. So I help caregivers, current and former caregivers, um, uh, promote. What's the word I want to say? I help them with self care, with prioritizing their self care through various experiences. If
Okay.
that
All
makes
right.
sense.
All right. Let's stop there for a second. So
Okay.
I help caregivers take care of themselves through various experiences. That's kind of what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yes. In various experiences. And
Okay. All right. Okay. So that's the framework, right? So our
hmm
target market are caregivers, and you said former and current caregivers, right? And
yes.
you kind of see them as the same demographic, right? Um, and then you're helping them with their own personal I guess self care for them, I guess, right?
Yes.
And the way you're going to help them is you're going to provide them with certain experiences, right?
Yes.
All right. So we know the demographic, and we know what you're trying for them to get is self. And then let's talk about the self part, right? When you say a caregiver need to take care of themselves, what do you mean by take care of themselves? In what way?
So many caregivers are overwhelmed with taking care of their loved one that they are neglecting their own self care. Specifically, just moments of respite care, or
Hmm.
just not, or even not handling um, even the simple task of managing their own financial future.
Hmm.
um they're not they could be struggling with finding time for themselves to do certain things. So
Hmm.
it could be a spa experiences, or it could be
Okay,
uh
don't tell me about the experiences yet.
okay okay
Let's talk about how they're
okay
gonna where they so they're neglecting their own well being,
yes.
right? They're not doing some tasks they need to be doing because they're taking care of other people.
Hmm.
Um, so in that terminology of their own personal self care, that's a big blue ocean. That's a lot of things there, right? So
Yes.
somebody who's neglecting their self care, they could be struggling financially, they could be struggling in health, they could be struggling mentally, right? So that's a lot in that bucket, right?
Mhm.
So we may need to narrow down that bucket first, right?
Okay.
Like kind of like, if we look at that bucket, what's like maybe the top, let's say one thing. What's the top one thing? Like if I can help them do this, I'll be really happy. What's that kind of one thing you think? Under the
That,
self-care thing.
so let's talk about financial planning.
Okay.
If I can bring tools to help them uh, do more better in financial planning.
Okay.
If I-
Okay. So what about being a self-care um not self care, being a caregiver, how's that linked to them having poor financial life?
I guess I'm thinking that from my own experience, so and from other people I've talked to,
Hmm.
that because of the stress of maybe just putting a lot on themselves to being caregivers, that
Hmm.
they're not planning. They're not, some not all maybe. I'm not gonna say some, but some are not. Working on so what I'm gonna say, they're
Like
not
planning for their own financial future.
exactly, like they're not,
Okay. Okay.
like maybe estate planning is something
Hmm. Hmm.
that they're that's lacking. 'Cause I know
Okay.
that was one of my challenges.
Okay.
Then on the other um another area is other than the financial planning aspect,
Hmm.
um there are other challenges with there are people that are married in caregiving, like I was,
Hmm.
that that's another area too, because I'm
Hmm.
actually working on some educational tools um, to kind of bring forth people that are married in caregiving to, just kind of remind, just more of a way
Yes. So like,
making
so the
sure,
okay. So the
yeah,
care,
so
so the caregiving is creating problems in their own personal marriage.
exactly. That's one
Right.
area. So it's marriage, financial planning.
Hmm.
Another area that I'm focused on was marriage and caregiving, financial
Hmm.
planning,
Hmm.
um, and then the other area was life after caregiving. So that's for
Life
the
after
former,
caregiving. Okay.
because sometimes as
Hmm.
caregivers we can we get lost in caregiving, and so
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
once it's
Yeah.
over,
Hmm.
developing tools to
Hmm.
help, developing a community that
Okay.
focuses on
Okay.
that. So it's I have a lot, it's a lot
Okay.
of
Okay.
pillars going on. So
All
that
right.
I'm working on refining.
Okay.
So
So I see Anna's hearting this, so she was agreeing because she's a caregiver, so she agreeing with what you're saying, right? All right. So let me say something from a business perspective. I think you need to. I think as a, I'm assuming you're a one woman shop at the moment, right? Um,
yeah, yeah.
so I think having more than one area you're trying to tackle right now would probably be too much, right? And so it's almost like you need to kind of, and even if you're dealing with the current caregivers versus the former caregivers, right? I think those are two different demographics too, right? So
Okay.
one group is in the thick of it, another group is kind of out of it, right? And that produces its own separate issues, right? So I would even consider maybe even kind of splitting that into different to a single demographic, right? So
Hmm.
so this is not thus says the Lord, this is me just doing my thing, right? So I would say, let's say for example, I help former caregivers discover what to do with their life now, right? So that speaks directly to a former caregiver and speaks directly to like a result of them kind of figuring out what does life look like now they're no longer caregivers, and then you can offer experiences to help them figure that part out, right? So that's a very
Okay.
clean, clear kind of pipeline. And from a marketing standpoint, it's an easy conversation to talk about. So you don't have to use a lot of ands and buts and ors and what about this. It's like you have something very clean. I help
Hmm.
former caregivers plan out the next stage of their life by offering them experiences, blah, 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 blah. Right.
Okay.
Or it'd be like, I help current caregivers not neglect their marriage by offering them these blah, blah, blah experiences. Right. Or I help current caregivers plan for their financial future by offering these types of experiences. Right.
Okay.
So basically, you're kind of making a very clean uh, uh, kind of connection between who you're serving, what outcome they're looking for, and how you're helping them do it. Right. And that keeps the conversation very clear in your own mind, and it helps you determine what activities you should be doing, what activities you shouldn't be doing. Right. Because like
Yes.
if you every day you every month you wake up and say, okay, what I'm gonna do this month, what experience I'm gonna do this month, that means you don't really know kind of like who you're really serving. Because one month you might do something that affects the the people that's after their caregiving. Another month could do something for somebody who's in caregiving. And the two audiences are kind of different, right? So I was kind of think about like a clean, it's not you have to stay here forever, right? But I think as a one woman show, you kind of pick a like, I'm serving, let's say, current caregivers. I'm helping them with their financial future by offering them experiences like financial planning, legal help, estate planning, things like that, right? And that kind of keeps it very in the same genre of what people are coming to you for.
Okay.
And then that just helps everything after that kind of falls in place, right? Because now you kind of know who you're serving, how you're serving them, and what outcome they can expect from your help, right? Because because you don't want to have too many things happening, because the same healthcare, you might have some single healthcare providers, healthcare caregivers, you might have some single caregivers that they're not even concerned about marriage, right? Or they may be concerned about, why
Yeah.
am I still single, because of my healthcare, because of my caregiving potentially, right? So that'd be a different issue that you're working through,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yes, yes, yes. Basically I need to narrow my focus, to focus on one thing at a time.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
have a lot of things that I want to do.
Hey guys, I pray that this excerpt from Office Hours was a blessing to you. If you would like to attend live, go to churchforentrepreneurs.com, click on the calendar link, and RSVP for our next Office Hours. If you'd like to partner with CFE, go to churchforentrepreneurs.com/partner. And don't forget, tell a friend about this podcast, and also tell a friend about Church for Entrepreneurs. You guys be blessed, and I'll talk to you soon.